Hey, welcome back to the Triple R
I'm
podcast.
gonna cut you off already.
Okay, perfect. Can't even get through the introduction.
At least I just noticed. I don't think I've ever started the episode.
Yeah, you're one of the hosts on here, and I point to you, and you don't ever fucking take the lead. So I just have come accustomed to doing it now.
I just think you like coming in like Fat Albert.
Hey. Also, can we talk about the fact you have 5 full seconds of a countdown to prepare your intro, and then it starts, and I give it a second or two, and you still don't say anything. So I'm like, well, dead air. I gotta fucking fill it.
I think it's because there was one time, and I think on one of the episodes that we just left up of like either of us weren't sure, so we both just said nothing, and then the next week we both started talking at the same time.
Yeah,
and so now I'm just like, I'll just let Damien do it.
Yeah, just let me do it. I'm the professional here. You're just tagging along.
What?
Anyways, hey, real quick, I did actually. It's funny that you interrupted me because I was going to go straight into a quick rec for you.
Okay.
Because we do a lot of recs and peeves on here. One non-rec, one that I wouldn't recommend you watching is Brothers, that new movie on Amazon with Josh Brolin, Peter Dinklage, Brendan Fraser.
That sounds like an all-star cast, though. Like,
I know. I was fucking stoked. I love all those guys. Terrible.
Really?
I couldn't make it through the first 30 minutes. They brought in a CGI ape out of nowhere with no explanation, and I was like, I'm out.
This sounds right up our alley, actually.
Yeah, it's perfect. Everybody go watch it.
Actually, it would have been better if it's more up our alley if it was just a man in a terrible ape costume.
It probably was, honestly. It was
that would have been much better. I think that's the kind of movies we enjoy. If you listen, I don't know when this episode's come. If you listen to our Halloween episode,
it's probably not coming out, honestly. We're probably done podcasting. Anyways, but my recommendation, so that was one that I wouldn't recommend. My actual recommendation is Penguin on HBO.
Oh, yes. I watched a episode.
I just watched the first episode last night, and let me tell you, wow, that shit is ridiculously good. And speaking of penguins, perfect segue. We have a guest. We have a guest today who is decked out in Pittsburgh Penguin gear.
Nope, Pirates.
Pittsburgh Pirates. Oh shit! All right, cut everything. Cut everything. Start over. Anyways, yes, we do have a guest today. The one of my new favorite podcasters. I was on an episode of his show, so I told him, now you have to suffer through ours. Everybody gear up and get ready for a very special guest in Mike O'Brien of the Paddy Wagon. Not the Potty Wagon, totally different.
Yeah,
totally different podcast, by the way. It's a lot of fart humor, but Paddy Wagon. Woo! Yes, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. As they say in Jerry Maguire, you had me at CGI ape.
Yeah. I knew that was my favorite movie for a reason.
And I shit you not.
That's actually the premise of the Potty Wagon.
It is.
I shit you not.
You're not. Yes.
I say the Potty Wagon all the time.
It's
just when you look at it, you want to say Potty Wagon. So it's like, it's funny you said that, because there's something I think in the human brain that's like, no, you're not going to say this one the right way.
Just like Remain, Rome, Return. Welcome back to Romaine Lettuce and Return to the Cashier.
Return to Sender.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it. I had to bring a drink with me, which, I don't know.
What are you sipping on?
Might be drinking coffee, but there we go. Nice.
I'm always drinking on these. That's the only reason I do this. What are you sipping on?
I'm having some Woodford Reserve Double Oak.
Hey, all right. On the rocks?
Fancy.
On the rocks, yeah. Which we'll be editing all those little ice cube sounds out, I'm sure, if you're a stickler like me. If not, leave them in.
I will not.
I love the sound. Let me do this.
Our editing process is pretty much nothing.
It's just record and upload.
Remain, roam, record. That's what I need to do.
There you go.
Stop being such a psycho with the record, because I load it in, I hear it, and I can actually, when you look at the waveforms, see when the word is coming up, and it's like I just go get rid of it. That's how it's like almost like looking at the Matrix. It's like I just see it in code now. I know exactly what my waveforms look like for certain words.
You are the AI.
I am the AI.
Yeah.
And you are not a Pirates fan because this is a Pittsburgh Pirates hat.
Yeah, I don't know anything about sports.
Well, you know what? I thought since you do the video podcast, I thought it would be cool. Like, hey, I'm from Pittsburgh. Here's this for the world's shittiest baseball team. But it's kind of an awesome throwback jersey.
I would say that the A's hold that very well versus the Pirates.
Fair point. We're not moving to another city. I like, all right, you know what?
True.
Point for Christian.
And you have one of the most gorgeous locations of a baseball stadium.
Hands down. Hands down. I just had a guy on from Ireland who was like, I love your baseball park. And I was like, yeah, dude, it's world class.
Is it on an island or not an island?
So Pittsburgh has 2 rivers that come together and form and go into the Ohio. Nobody from Pittsburgh can say them, so I will say them for you. The northern one is the Allegheny, and the southern one is the Monongahela, and then they form kind of the what's the word I'm looking for when they come together? The confluence.
Ooh,
wow.
Yeah.
Big words.
Yep. The Steelers.
Conglomeration.
The Steelers Stadium and the Pirates ballpark are what we call the North Shore. They're right on the north side of the stadium. So when you're looking out and you see the stadium, that view is across the river into downtown Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Which if you haven't looked it up, it's just pretty, because that's the only reason to go to that stadium. It is certainly not because of the team playing in it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a stadium I want to go to just because of that view. That is just perfect.
Yeah. Well, let me know when you're in Pittsburgh, either one of you, and then we'll definitely go drink some overpriced beers, eat some really shitty ballpark food, and enjoy the game. Tickets on,
and I'm sure do a terrible podcast about it.
Absolutely, 100%.
Record while we're there.
You probably could. If any sport that you could record while it's going on, it would probably be a baseball game.
Yeah, like a Tuesday night game. Like, absolutely.
All right, that actually sounds really fun.
Yeah.
All right, put it on the business account.
Do it. Let's go.
That's true.
No, seriously.
Anyways,
that is dead serious. You guys show up, we're going.
Yeah, let's get that in the book. So, anyways, so welcome to the show. Appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you having me on. Christian unfortunately couldn't make it that day. Pretty sure he was fighting a bout of diarrhea, so he couldn't be there. But
can we have like one episode of like not about my bowel movements?
Then we would not have a show.
That's true. I want to say there is an episode that is dedicated to me almost shitting my pants while running.
Yeah.
And then
it's called Burgers on the Shitter. And it did not get nearly enough love, by the way.
It
you guys
did not.
Go and listen to that.
If you're now just starting to listen to this, it's a great episode of me having to use a McDonald's bathroom when I had no money on me and just have to like scurry in and then scurry out after I just destroyed that restroom.
Had to slip past the security at McDonald's.
I can shit anyway. I know there's people that can't shit in public restrooms and all that stuff, and I had to go. So it was one of those ones where you're driving down the road and you're like, I'm gonna just shit like in the glove box. But we pulled into a parking lot and I like duck walked into this Starbucks, and I have this weird thing where I have to buy something. Like if I go into the bathroom, everyone's going to know I'm shitting. So like I stood there and I was like, hey, how are you? And it's like, I got cold sweats running down my face. And I'm like, thinking of some black coffee. You know what? I'll be right back. And then I'm like texting my wife. I was like, oh my God, please buy a coffee. I'm in here just destroying the shitter. So yeah, I've been there, man. Do you run? Yeah. Did I hear that right? You almost shit while running.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So,
oh my God, here we go.
I just ran a marathon a few weeks ago, and then now I'm training for another marathon. And so
I don't know marathon people that don't let you know they run marathons.
Yeah, it's the physical exercise equivalent of being a vegan. It's just like we get it.
No, I'm not like I do a pretty good job. It's not like I do CrossFit is the worst.
Well, that's because everybody who used to do CrossFit is now severely injured.
Yeah, or dead.
or dead or paralyzed.
Question about, well, this is where I was going with that question. I have heard, and I don't know if it's true, but it would make sense that people piss and shit themselves while they run marathons.
Some people do.
Mainly just Christian.
No, I at least have always found somewhere to not shit my pants. On the record.
Notice he did say almost always.
That sentence has never been said.
Always.
I find somewhere to not shit my pants.
Yeah.
Yep. I've pooped in a lot of bushes. Let's just say that, and so luckily But yes, people do, especially during marathons. It's more likely to happen because, well, now we're doing talking about marathon fueling during you burn so many like carbs while you're running that you need to replenish them, and so if you don't train your gut to do it, your body freaks out because you're trying to eat too many carbs while doing exercise, and so your gut freaks out, and so then people poop themselves.
Can you just tell Mike not only about the carbs thing, since we're on this topic, can you also explain to him about your salt intake? This is insane to me.
So I sweat very heavy when I run, and I'm a very like salty sweater. Like I've done like the test patch thing to see how much you sweat and you run. So because of that, I lose a lot of salt when I run. And so I'm at Damien's in LA, and it's the middle of summer. I go for a run. There are no trees in LA. Or just palm trees that offer no shade.
Right.
So I come back, I've sweated out everything out of my body, and so I'm just eating salt because I need it for my body, or else I get sick. And Damien thinks that is the weirdest thing possible.
Well, it was frustrating to me because I used to be a chef a while ago, and I always keep my kosher salt out in like a little container in like a little bowl so I can just easily grab it and throw it into stuff.
Yeah.
And I purchased the nice salt. Right?
What's your nice like, kosher salt? I'm a salt snob. I am a salt snob.
I like the just straight up like thick kosher salt. Yeah. And so I purchased that, and it's not exactly cheap. And then all of a sudden he comes back from his run, and I see him digging his little talons into just my salt container.
I washed my hands.
And legitimately just dumping it into his mouth. And I'm like, what? What is happening? This is absolutely insane. So I had to refill my salt by the time he left because he was just digging into my salt so much.
Stop me.
I was flabbergasted.
The only reason this isn't weird to me is because I sat on a plane next to a guy that ran marathons, and he brought up eating salt. He brought up salt tablets, and I'm like, my brain doesn't compute. I was like, like if I'm running a marathon, why would I want to eat salt?
Sodium.
And then he goes, think about how much you sweat. And I said, oh yeah, you're like depleting your body of minerals. So it made sense. So that is not the craziest thing I've heard, Christian. Makes perfect sense. But you ate the good salt, man. I've got bowls of molten salt. I've got Celtic, like the gray salt. I've got stuff for when I'm going to make steaks. I've got I do not use that Morton's shit. Like I'll salt a driveway with that. That's about all that's good for.
No. So next time I go to LA now, Damien's going to be like, here is your own like Kroger brand salt.
We're going to have a salt budget for you.
Iodized salt for you, friend.
Yeah. Well, speaking of salting your driveway, I think this is a perfect segue into the actual theme of this podcast, which is, as you're aware, Mike, but maybe not everybody who's listening is aware, the theme of the podcast is whether it's better to stay in your hometown, leave your hometown and go see what life can be like elsewhere, or maybe you go elsewhere, get some experience, and come back to your hometown. So we call them remainers, roamers, or returners. So you're talking about salting your driveway, which clearly means you have snow and ice.
Correct.
With that, where are you from? Are you still there? Give a little bit of the backstory. We focus too much on Christian's weird habits. We need to go into focusing on you for the time being. So give us a little breakdown. Where are you from? Are you still in your hometown? And tell us what it was like growing up.
Well, so let me see if I get this right. So I think I'm a Remainer, okay? Because I am born, raised, and am still in Pittsburgh. So is that accurate?
Okay.
Yep.
right? Or Maine.
Well, are you from the same like town? Are you still living in the same town you were born in?
Different suburb, we'll call it. So,
Okay.
So you guys being from Nebraska, I noticed, and I've mentioned this a couple times. I've got a buddy from Nebraska, and I hear, and I think I hear this a lot in the Midwest, but you reference counties a lot. I live in this county. We don't really do that here, at least in around a bigger city. So, I lived about 30 minutes east of Pittsburgh my entire life, a little town called Penn Hills. And then, just kind of moved sporadically. And I made my way closer to the city and a little more south as I got older. Just had some buddies that moved around. But generally, people in Pittsburgh, I think they stay. And
okay. I do have to say real quick, Penn Hills could also be slang for cursive.
What?
Took me a second.
Anyway, sorry, continue.
Good observation. Yes. Christian's going to get that in about 25 minutes. He's going to go,
nope.
Penn Hills.
Nope, I got it. I didn't laugh because it wasn't good.
It wasn't good at all.
I got
it.
it.
Took me a sec. So
swing and a miss.
Pittsburgh is very.
There's got to be a pet store named Petsburgh, right?
There is not. I don't think
there is now.
There should be.
There is now. Someone create Petsburgh,
Pennsylvania. We are very segregated. Not in a good way or bad way, depending on how you look at it, but with location, because everything's separated by bridges and rivers and like hills and mountains. So grow up east, you stay east. If you live east, you work east, and so on. And it's not that bad, but the traffic, like distance wise, but traffic wise, I know a lot of, and you're in LA, so you get it. It's a nightmare. So me moving southwest of Pittsburgh, I might as well have said to every one of my friends and family, I'm moving to Los Angeles and I'm never coming back. You're never going to see me again. Anytime somebody comes to my house, it is met with a, damn it. It's like I have to drive through 2 tunnels to get there. So,
wow.
But yeah, I've been here my whole life.
Okay. And that is also a Midwest thing that I think we've talked about, Christian, quite a few times, is there is that weird thing in smaller cities and smaller towns where it's like having to drive to meet somebody for 30 minutes is such a hassle. Is that kind of what you're saying? Like you move a little bit more south and everybody's like, well, now I'm never going to see you. You're like 25
100%.
minutes away.
100%.
Yeah.
And it's not that bad. See, the problem is because of the hills and the rivers and the bridges, there's really only a couple ways to get somewhere. There's no direct lines. There's no, hey, we're going to take route A, B, C, and we're going to go this direction. It is like you have to go west and then you have to go south, right? And so if you look at a map of Pittsburgh, the roads run along the rivers. And it's so you're really, unless you're going to blast through mountains to make a new road, it's not going to happen. And Pittsburgh is a very good example, I think, of when you think about technology and how travel's changed. There's roads probably that shouldn't exist. And you're like, why is this a 4-lane highway? Like you're like, there's accidents here all the time.
Yeah.
And it's because it was probably horse and buggy at one point. And so, it's a weird city to drive in. There's a t-shirt that shows our intersections. And none of them, like you look at New York, it is like a grid. Los Angeles is a grid. You look at Pittsburgh, it is like, is that a 7-way intersection? And you laugh. That is no joke. I will try to find this shirt for you and send it to you guys. It's amazing.
Yes.
It's so bad. Yeah.
Yeah. That is because most like I've never been to Pittsburgh, but I've heard about it, and everyone says one of the things is like it's very hilly, 100%. Which you wouldn't think about with its look. Like I guess because it's technically, is it like Appalachian-ish?
Yeah. So technically, it is. The real. Say I married a woman from Appalachia. She's an Appalachian, and they say it different. Where we always say Appalachian.
Yeah,
it is definitely Appalachian or Appalachian. They don't consider it to be because she's from like Tennessee, where it really is. But yes, technically speaking, it is. We're in the foothills, as we would say.
Yeah. Do you consider Pittsburgh to be Midwest?
Let's border. I consider Ohio to be Midwest. About an hour outside of Pittsburgh, I would probably start thinking Midwest.
It's always an because I've gotten into debate. So I lived in Michigan for a bit, and people from Michigan consider themselves Midwest, but I wouldn't, because it's also a weird thing, and also like Pennsylvania is a weird place because you have the other side of the state that is literally on the ocean. And I was like, you can't be Midwest if you're on the ocean.
I think that's a good point too. Yeah, if you have an ocean, you are not Midwest, because for instance, Nebraska is double landlocked.
So we've got New Jersey, right? So wow, let me think about this, because there's some weird shaped states. You guys out west or Midwest, you've got your nice fucking square and rectangle states.
Yes.
We don't. So I think
we have 90-degree angles in Nebraska,
exactly.
baby.
That makes so much sense. We have Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, and I'm thinking, I don't know if Pennsylvania touches the ocean now that I think about it. It definitely touches a big. Look, he's looking at his map. Damien,
I'm looking at. Well, because
I thought Philly did.
Look that up for us.
Yeah. Hey, Jamie. No, because you got Maryland and New York around you, which
New
are
York
more
too,
coastal.
yeah.
But I thought Philly, from watching Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah,
that's filmed in Los Angeles.
Is it? Really?
Yeah, but
yeah,
it is. Yeah, most of it's filmed in. But I believe though, I guess maybe it's they have the river that goes to the ocean. Maybe that's
I you've got the Chesapeake Bay, and you've got a lot of bodies of water out there that you're going to get there. But yeah, I mean, listen, that's either way, it's a fair point, right? Yeah. How can you be Midwest if you're there, right?
On the ocean.
Interesting thing I found out recently, not about Pennsylvania, there are parts of Florida and Oregon that are only 1 time zone apart.
Yeah.
That blew my brain. Yep.
Yeah, I would say honestly the farthest I would consider Midwest is Missouri. I think anything else is too far east to be considered Midwest. It's like from Missouri to Colorado, like the eastern part of Colorado, and then you get to the halfway point, and now you're in the West Coast.
I think it's the flat land that we look at here, because we come out of the
once you start getting mountains.
Yeah.
What
so that
I would say, when it's real farmy, when it's Indiana for sure, Midwest to me, because but then Ohio's a weird one. Yeah. I think that's where it is the line for me, is parts of Ohio.
Ohio's a fucking weird one for many, many reasons. And
yes,
Indiana sucks ass to drive through.
Ohio is also for lovers.
Is that what they?
Yeah, I think so.
Ohio
is for lovers is the Hawthorne Heights album.
Is it Virginia's for lovers?
Virginia's for lovers. Oh, look at this guy. Look at this.
I'm pretty sure that's the state motto.
Yeah, it is, dude. He's absolutely right on that. Virginia.
Not according to Hawthorne Heights.
I don't know who Hawthorne Heights is.
It's an emo band from the mid-2000s who's still kicking it around.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Anyways, so now I guess we're a geography podcast now. But
we are.
To go back to Pittsburgh, what can you give us kind of what it was like for you growing up there? And would you be able to kind of put it into a perspective of if you grow up in Pittsburgh, this is generally what you can expect to be like? Because I think a lot of people are curious, what are the differences in growing up in different states, right? So I know obviously everybody has their own personal experiences with growing up. So can you talk a little bit about what your personal experience was, but also kind of as a whole, what does it kind of look like there?
Yeah, it's a good question. I would say this. So Pittsburgh people are very passionate about where they're from. And if they're here, they're still very passionate. Watch an NFL game with the Pittsburgh Steelers on the road.
Yeah.
Those yellow towels, the terrible towels, as we call them. I mean, we will invade different stadiums like a virus. And you're sitting here like, I'm sorry, we're the fucking home team? Like, what is this shit? Yeah. People from Pittsburgh are proud to let you know they're from Pittsburgh. I never stayed here for any reason. I think I'm suffering from FOMO. I think if I would have left, it would have been I'm leaving everything I know. The older I get and I travel, I'm happy to go other places, but I still do think I'm a Pittsburgher. I think I would retire and get the hell out. But people leave. Back in the 80s, it was an old steel, remnants of a steel town, I should say.
I was is there still any steel or manufacturing stuff?
So the rumor is this, and I've heard it from a reliable source. Apparently, if World War III became a thing,
Yeah,
all of our steel mills could be up and operational in 24 hours.
that's
now, there's
bonkers to think about.
I know there's not many left, but there may be one or two. But from what I've heard, it's still very much a steel town if need be.
They haven't been like converted into like condos that are way too expensive to live in, because that's what every other town was like. Oh, the old plant. Well, we're gonna make them, brick wall condos that are way too expensive for normal people to afford. But
100%.
Not only that, it's either that or it's turning it into like a cafeteria style area where it's just a bunch of restaurants move in and create, like in LA you have the packing district. They just opened up a new one in Covina. It's just like, any plant that exists or any kind of factory that exists is now just restaurants.
So I don't know if they do it everywhere else. We try to incorporate the past into the current, the present, if you will. So we have I'm going to say it was called Cary Furnace, which was one of the bigger locations, which is still around.
I think that's what my furnace is actually in my basement.
No,
I just turned it on. I just serviced it to turn it on because it just finally got cold enough here in Nebraska to be like, I was like, we need to turn on the fucking furnace.
So that is
like,
Carrier.
Oh,
yeah. So my dad's an HVAC guy. So yes, Carrier is a furnace, but when you had the big steel mills, they would call those a furnace. So it was like Carrie, like the girl's name.
Okay.
But
or boy,
fair point. Carrie, what's the guy's name? Carrie.
John Carey.
John Carey. And who else? There's a ton of ways to spell that name, by the way.
Carey, there are.
Jim Carey.
Jim Carey. Yep, good point. But so we took what was an old, dilapidated, shitty kind of steel mill, if you will, left the towers, they re-bricked the outsides, and much like you're saying, Damien, they built kind of a little shopping plaza and movie theaters and all that stuff around there. So when you go there, they've got, the lights pointing at the towers, pretty big Irish population in Pittsburgh. So we have our Irish festival there every year, and
nice.
They, spray the lights up that are orange, green, and white on the towers, and the bands come and play and stuff. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, you always want everybody to know it's still a steel town, but it's really not anymore.
So growing up, you said you grew up like in a suburb outside of the city. Are you going to the city a lot, or like, is it like, I don't want to say quote unquote scary, but it's like, you don't go you stay out in your suburb. You don't go downtown only for like sports, but no other purpose. So was it like that, or was it not?
It was growing up. I would think we would go. So the Penguins arena was in downtown, and like I said, the Pirates and Steelers used to share a ballpark. It was one of those old cookie cutter stadiums where they'd convert them, and that was on the North Shore. So I would say Pittsburgh's weird. I'm going to answer it that way.
Okay.
It is a fucking ghost town after 5:00, right?
Really?
Yeah. So
interesting.
Los Angeles, New York, you go to these places, there's a nightlife, there's a pulse.
Yeah.
Right. You can do whatever you want. There's bars and there's restaurants and there's things to do. Pittsburgh's not like that. It is like traffic in the morning. You walk around during lunch and all that. There is shit everywhere. Restaurants are open. 5:00 comes. There's might as well be tumbleweeds rolling across and everybody leaves. There's only recently that I learned that people actually some of them live in downtown. There's not many. There's probably only a few apartments / condos in Pittsburgh. So when somebody tells you I live in the city, it is mind boggling to talk to that person. You're like, tell me more. They could say they're from the fucking moon, and I wouldn't have as many questions as I would for when somebody tells me they live in downtown Pittsburgh.
That's really crazy, because that's the opposite of cities.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cities is like everything is built in the city and you have to live out of it in order to afford anything. But it sounds like it's the opposite.
Even Omaha is like a proper downtown, has even has an entertainment district, if you want to call
Yeah.
the old market an entertainment district.
Definitely.
Now, we do have that, but it's not the whole city. So what do we call that? The cultural district. So we've got a bunch of pretty historic Heinz Hall in the Benham. There's a lot of these places where you'd go see a show or a comedian or a big music act and things like that. But yeah, it's like one or two streets, and outside of that, like there is nothing going on.
Wow.
Is Pittsburgh proper fairly small and it's like a lot eaten up by a lot of suburbs, or is the actual city of Pittsburgh a decent size?
So it's a triangle shape because of the rivers.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what we would call it. If I was to guess, I would say we were in between 20 and 30 in the top biggest cities in the country.
Yeah.
I could be way wrong on that. But if you could probably fit Pittsburgh into Central Park in New York would be my guess.
Oh, geez. Okay.
It's that tiny.
That's
Well, it's either a
small.
really small city or a really big fucking park, because Central Park is huge. I think there's like fucking golf courses in Central Park.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty small. If I would go out, so I did work downtown, I would go out at lunch and I would walk around and pretty much cover the entire city and come back and be back within an hour.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's pretty small.
So because it's so small and because you're surrounded by so many great places, I mean, for instance, like we said, you have New York, you have all these pretty big cities around you. Did you go on vacations as a kid, and like what were they like? Because you're so close to everything, but your actual city was so small.
I didn't see the ocean until I was 18.
Okay.
Wow.
Which is maybe not that weird for somebody in Nebraska, but it was. Our vacations were like fucking SeaWorld in Ohio, which apparently, not a thing anymore.
Nope.
Apparently those fish, those mammals were mistreated, which, by the way, do not recommend the movie Blackfish if you have a heart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That is such a fantastic documentary.
It's so good, and it's so angering on so many levels. It hurts to watch. But no, we would go to Ohio. We like theme parks, so we would go to theme parks. Pittsburgh has you wouldn't go to vacation here, but Kennywood is one of the oldest theme parks in the country, amusement parks and things like that. So pretty cool.
Are you going out to like Cedar Point in Ohio?
Yeah, I love Cedar Point, man. Cedar Point's fantastic if you like roller coasters. And we go to Lake Erie a lot.
Because are you at that point? Because it's pretty far from Pittsburgh to like Philly, right?
I would say 4.5 to 5 hours, which is funny because a lot of people mix up the two. And when you look at a state, like I'm a recruiter for work. So people are like, hey, you're from Philly. And I'm like, no, I'm from Pittsburgh. And there's many reasons why I don't like that. We do not like Philadelphia people. They don't like us. They're pieces of shit, but don't say anything to them. We'll just block this out for, our Philly listeners.
Again, we talked
it's okay. We don't have listeners in Philly. You don't have to worry.
You're not fucking missing anything because they would just talk shit on you anyway. I think there's footage of them throwing like ice balls at Santa Claus. They clap when people get paralyzed. There was a jail. Look this up when you don't believe me. They had a judge and a jail cell in Veterans Stadium and would arrest people during football games. Look it up. It's
That's awesome.
True. So, but yeah, no, it's a lot of people get them kind of as one when you're not from Pennsylvania. But we are about 4.5, 5 hours apart.
And then, because you're almost closer to Ohio, like all the stuff in Ohio at that point, right?
I'm 1 hour from the Ohio border. There's actually kind of a tri-state area with West Virginia, Pennsylvania, and Ohio that 45 minutes to an hour there as well.
Yeah.
So the first time seeing an ocean, you were 18. Where was that?
Ocean City, Maryland. So that was kind of the spring break or senior week spot for us that we would go to when you graduated. Okay. As a matter of fact, it was so crazy to me. We were driving in and I saw the clouds and I thought the clouds were the ocean. And I was like, man, you can see it from here. And like, you don't see the ocean until you're next to the ocean.
Yeah.
Like, wow, look at that. It was like, it's like what you would picture if you were coming out of the mountains and you saw the ocean. And they're like, dude, that's clouds, you fucking idiot. Like, damn, it looks like the ocean, man. It just goes off forever. He's like, again, that's the sky. So, but yeah, no, everyone else, North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida. I wasn't on an airplane until I think I was 22, 23 years old. So I didn't really travel a lot. Like I really stayed local.
And where was that to?
When the first time I was on a plane?
Yeah.
Vegas, baby.
Hey, all right.
Yeah, 27 straight hours of drinking. I had no concept of time zones, jet lag, and what dehydration, airplanes, and alcohol can do to the human body.
Yeah, it sounded like you needed salt tablets.
Yeah, somebody woke
This episode's brought to you by Kosher.
Somebody woke me up in a casino, and I was like, "Hey, what's going on?" They're like, "What's going on? Is you're fucking drooling on yourself, and you need to not be here. You're going to be arrested." I was like, "All right, cool, thanks." That's all you had to say.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I passed away for at least 6 hours my first time in Vegas.
So much going on.
It's a lot. It's quite a bit when you do go.
Yeah, it's brutal. Oh, yeah.
So growing up in Pittsburgh, in the metro area, it's very hilly, right? And so like, are you riding bikes still, or is it like flatten out where you lived?
I'm in a hilly area. It's again, so when you talk to people from Nebraska, right? And correct me if I'm wrong, the western side of the state, you start to sandhills, get into the Rockies. Is that right?
Yep. Okay. Like the foothills and stuff.
Yeah. So the other side, it's flat, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
And
Omaha is weirdly hilly because it's next to a river. But yeah, so between that though and the rest of the state, it's pancake.
Yeah,
flat.
so it's a perception thing, right? So if you're from Colorado and I was like, "Hey, I live in the mountains." Even in the middle of the state, there's mountains through the middle of the state.
Yeah.
You're not considering those the mountains where you are. Some people are like, "Look at that mountain," and you're like, "Dude, that's a hill." So yeah, it's too hilly, but when you're a kid or if you're younger, I mean, you're going to ride the bike. You're going to have to stand up and pedal uphill and do all those things. But yeah, you can get a lot of places, but long distance, it's probably somebody with like some marathon type conditioning to be able to do that stuff. That comment brought to you by Kosher Salt.
Yeah, and a pocket full of salt. I know it's like the Rage Against the Machine song, "Pocket full of shells," but it's salt.
Pocket full
of salt, just eating salt. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, we would do that. Yeah, we'd ride bikes a lot as a kid. We'd go places, but yeah, one way was uphill, one way was downhill.
Do most of the people you grew up with, did they stay in the Pittsburgh area?
Yeah, so we're called Yinzers.
Yep.
And so we have a horrible accent, which I really try my best to not have people hear me, but it does come out every once in a while. And if you look at a map, they've actually done
For those that don't know, can you do it?
So it won't sound
what's the word?
Go ahead. I'll do it.
What's the word? Yeah. Are there certain words where it really comes out for you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Down. So you would say downtown. I'm going to go to downtown. And we just bring everything together. So let's go downtown. Let's go downtown. Let's go down there. We blur, kind of just merge every word together into a sound. So, hey, you guys want to go get a beer? Yeah, let's go downtown and we'll go there after the Stiller game. Stillers.
Maybe two tree beers.
I'll get 2 or 3 beers, see what's going on. And then, we'll just go back home after that.
After that. Oh my God. I fucking love it.
Say the word color, like a coloring book.
Color.
Helen Keller. Yeah.
Keller.
Helen Keller.
Are you
okay?
Let's go. Let's go Keller.
Is the water or the word water? How is
water?
That? So is that water?
Water. I would say water. If you get towards Philly, it's water.
Okay.
Water.
I wasn't sure if that was a Pennsylvania thing or more of a Philly thing.
It is.
Here's actually getting into accents. Here's one of the questions that I've asked a couple times that I think is really fun. What do you call the thing that you use to color? What do you call that?
Shit. That's a tough one for Pittsburgh. I would say crayon.
Okay.
Like a crayon? Not crayon, but I would say crayon, like crayon.
Okay.
Like
okay, so that's the proper way to say it.
Okay. What do you call the long sandwiches?
Hoagie.
Do you?
I call it a hoagie.
Do you call it a hoagie?
Depends on like what it is. Some people say sub, some say hoagie, and occasionally I'll throw out a hero.
Yep, a hero.
I've heard hero. I would never say that. Dude, do you really have people out there that say hoagie?
Yeah.
I say hoagie.
Wow.
I would say a hoagie. I would say a hoagie bun. Like if I was at the grocery store and it was just like, I'm in the bakery, I would say a hoagie bun. I wouldn't call it a sub bun. I would say a
mind
hoagie
is
bun.
blown, dude. So that's a real Pittsburgh thing. Pittsburgh and Philly.
Oh, really?
Pittsburgh and Philly are some of the only places in the country that say hoagie.
Let's go down there and get a hoagie.
Yeah, let's go get a hoagie.
Go down there and get a hoagie at the Wawa.
And they had this place called the Triangle, which they would call them submarines or battleships.
Yep.
Let's go down a Triangle, get us a hoagie and that. You got to say a nat, and it just is like everything else.
Okay. Also, hold on, real quick. No. You shut up. You shut up.
You sound really stupid right now. Pan dilemma. I can
go take a drink. Go take a drink of water down there and let me ask this question. All right. Oh, now I forgot what I was going to say.
Kentucky.
Love it.
Now I forgot what I was going to say. Go ahead.
Good. Is it? Correct me if I'm wrong. Is Pittsburgh known for having a sandwich? Is that a thing?
Oh fuck yeah, dude.
The Philly.
No, that's a cheesesteak. Again, that's Philly. Philly cheesesteaks.
I can't tell if that's a bit or if you're just a dumbass.
he's like, yeah, that sandwich in Pittsburgh is called a Philly. So
I believe it's called a hot dog down there.
Hot dog. So yes, Pittsburgh is known for a sandwich. It is called Primanti Brothers. That's Italian, if you don't know. So apparently, the story is that
the sandwich is called Primanti Brothers.
The restaurant
sandwich?
is called Primanti Brothers.
Oh, the restaurant.
And
okay,
then you just go
not Panty Brothers.
Yeah, Panty Brothers. You go. I'm gonna go. We're gonna go get a Primanti's and get a couple sandwiches. So it is, and I believe this to be true, but because of the steel workers, this sandwich, and this may sound weird to a lot of people, but very good thick cut Italian bread, meat and cheeses of your choice, covered with French fries, coleslaw, not the creamy coleslaw, but like that oil and vinegar kind of coleslaw.
Oh, the good kind.
Okay, yeah.
And then
the superior
tomatoes.
kind.
Yeah. So Pittsburgh people, we put French fries on everything. As a matter of fact, if you're at some restaurants and you see, it's like, dude, is there fucking French fries on that salad? A lot of the times it's called the Pittsburgh salad because we put French fries on everything.
Which so French fries are one of my favorite foods. Yep. Going back to the salt, to be honest,
they got to be.
Well, also, it makes sense that you all eat a lot of potato products since you said you have a lot of Irish folk.
We're not going to be offended after that comment, but that's why it's with the Irish you can get away with that shit. You
look at the color of our skin.
Just see
look at the red in my beard. What are you talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
When I say these people, I literally mean Irish people.
Yeah. Well, listen, I heard an Irishman's 7-course meal is a 6-pack and a potato. I don't know who.
God damn right.
Came from, but it really is. Yeah, we
Sláinte
potatoes in the South. Sláinte, my friend. Yeah, we love potatoes, but yeah, man, fries on everything. Yeah. The sandwich is. There's some like those cooking shows you have, Food Network and whatnot. They will do best sandwiches in the country. Be honest with you, we do lose out a lot to some shit from Philadelphia. And it's not the cheesesteaks like you'd think. Apparently, they have some sort of sandwich out there that has like broccoli rabe on it and a bunch of different stuff. And I even looked at it. I was like, I would fuck that sandwich up.
Yeah.
So awesome sandwich though. Like again, if you guys come to Pittsburgh, and we're going to go to a game, you can't come to Pittsburgh and not eat one of those sandwiches. You said
Primanti Brothers, right? Is
Correct.
that a particular like restaurant or is that just the style?
So that is a restaurant and there's a few knockoffs and I've eaten them and it's almost like sacrilegious. Like you shouldn't try to attempt to do that.
Okay.
They'll create a sandwich. They'll call it the Pittsburgher. And it's like, no, I wouldn't be caught.
Okay.
That and Heinz ketchup. There will never be ketchup in my house other than Heinz ketchup. We don't play around.
I will agree with that too. True. Heinz is superior.
Hunts can eat my ass. That won't be in the top 10 minutes of that episode. I'll tell you that right now.
Hunts can eat a cunts. That's what I always say.
Yeah.
Is Heinz. Okay. Is Heinz like, is that a big source of pride as well for the city of Pittsburgh?
Yes.
Not the beer, right?
No, Heinz. So our beer would be Iron City. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
Okay.
But Iced Tea Light, Iron City, made by a brewery, is kind of a big deal. Heinz ketchup's a big deal. and then the sandwiches that I talked about, and something else. And a lot of people, like old school people, will say this, and this is actually a fact, but a really kind of weird way to say this is we don't speak German because of Pittsburgh. And so that's like a World War II reference. Like you'd be speaking Japanese or you'd be speaking German if it wasn't for us.
Okay.
Because of Steel City stuff.
Yeah. I mean, we were a major target during World War II. They would have never hit us because of all the smog and pollution over top of the city with the steel mills.
Wouldn't have found us.
Yeah, it was like a little natural smoke screen from the process of making that. But technically.
Why does everyone in this town have asthma?
Oh, it was bad. You can look up the history of Pittsburgh. It's like everything was covered in like this black smut.
Just soot.
I said smut.
Smut?
What the fuck is smut?
I believe that's a type of pornographic film.
Smut. But yeah, no, it was covered. Yeah, there's a lot of people history with like lung problems and emphysema and shit from Pittsburgh. But from a pride standpoint, you need, and I'm not a chemist or anything like that, but when it comes to what's needed.
Oh, we got the wrong guy on that.
Yeah, I know. When it comes to what's needed to make steel.
Yeah.
The iron ore and all the ingredients because of this part of the country, like it's really good. So like Chinese steel, for example.
Yeah.
If you're talking to somebody from Pittsburgh, they'll be like, yeah, that shit, it's not as good as Pittsburgh steel. And that's actually true.
Yeah.
So
probably, just the raw material. And then, you got all that coal that you're burning to melt the steel.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say we're as bad as some places around the globe, but like in the US, like Pittsburgh, we've very poor air quality. It's gotten a lot better, right? But people with asthma, they'll move and they'll be like, "Oh my God, I can breathe." But a lot of people,
this city is killing you.
They still picture that kind of cloud over the city, and it's not been there for decades.
Yeah,
so lingers.
And you're so hilly, it probably gets, if you live at the bottom of the hill, you're like, oh, this gets trapped in.
You get up to the top when you're on one of them bikes and you have your salt pills and you're like, wow, I can breathe again.
Brought to you by Huffy Bikes and Kosher Salt.
Oh, yeah.
So what made you want to stay in Philly? You kind of mentioned the FOMO aspect, but was it just kind of like there was no reason to leave?
Do you hear him? Did anyone pick up on that? Your listeners will. We'll listen back to this. What made you stay in Philly?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you heard that. So what made me stay in Pittsburgh,
I did.
Christian?
There we go.
Making fun of me for talking about the Philly.
We're going to edit that part out and insert a very poorly me going, Pittsburgh. And then go back to normal.
What made you stay in Pittsburgh? It's like that real bad voiceover. Like when you watch, what is it? Die Hard, yippee-ki-yay, and then there's this, I think it's like Fox, it goes Falcon 1. It's like yippee-ki-yay, fucking Falcon 1.
Who had to go through that to be like, okay, motherfucker, what we got to read his lips, what can we, like that bad like lip reading NFL YouTube that was like
so
5 years ago.
So good.
Still the best additional recording, or what do they call that one? ADR, right? Where they like censor what you say, but then they put something else over it.
Yep.
The best version of that I've ever seen is watching The Big Lebowski on television. And instead of saying, "This is what happens when you fuck a stranger in the ass,"
what does he say?
In order to match the mouth up, and to their credit, they do a fantastic job. This is what happens when you find a stranger in the Alps. And I was like, that is actually better than the original. Dude, this is what happens when you find a stranger in the Alps.
Heard that, you'd go, what the fuck does that mean?
It kind of fits though, because of like what are the nationality of the guys doing, like the evil guys? That's your favorite
Germans.
movie. So
they're nihilists. No, these are not Nazis. They're cowards.
Shut the fuck up, Donnie. Dude, I saw, and I didn't watch it because I want one of my favorite movies, Django, was on like TBS or something. And it's like, why make the attempt?
Why even do that? That's like putting Pulp Fiction on there.
Yeah, which they also do.
Are you having to bleep every other word of that movie to have it
every other word? And I'd be very curious what that ADR technology would come back with. It's like,
well, and it's just like, I think
apparently in this movie.
Yeah. Well, it's just like, I think we've talked about this before on the podcast too, where because we do a lot of like recommendations, but also pet peeves.
Right.
And one of my biggest pet peeves is when you hear a song on the radio and it's all just beeps. They're just editing out all of the curse words, all the offensive language. And I'm like, you're aware that 60% of the words in this you can't put on the radio.
Yeah.
Right.
How is this a radio friendly song? I could see taking out 2 or 3 curse words, but it's like if we had to adhere to a strict PG-13 guideline on this podcast, we wouldn't be able to release anything.
And it throws the vibe of the music off too, because if it's a good song and there's some anger or whatever it is, that's part of the story, and you're taking that away, and then you miss all that, and you're like, this song sucks. I'm like, well, the original one's good.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, what is the point of putting it on if you have to edit that stuff out? So
yeah. Well, I'll tell you this. What's the one song? It's Black Eyed Peas. I won't say it because it's like
let's get retarded.
Okay, there you go. Let's get our word up in here, right? You can do that on your podcast. I won't, but at least let's get it started. Made sense. Like, that worked. But the fact that they, like, I don't know how music works, but they're in a studio and they're like, yeah, man, it's fucking retarded. Let's roll with that one. Like that was even when
they say it a lot too.
Yeah,
they say it several times. It was like on a movie I was watching in the mid 2000s. I was like, oh god, they say that. I thought like, because I remember I was like, oh yeah, they maybe say it like once, twice. No, they say it a little too many uncomfortable amount of time.
It's the name of the song.
Yeah. But like somebody passed
that's the name.
Like they put that through. They're like, yeah, man, let's roll with that title. I like it, dude.
And like as a song, sure, like that's cool and stuff. But do you actually want to release it publicly? Because you know you can't do that. So what are you doing here? You know.
I love it. It's fucking awesome.
Anyways, sorry to sidetrack.
All right. So what made you decide to stay in Pittsburgh?
What made me decide to stay in Pittsburgh? If I'm being honest, if I look back on it, right, and I think you reflect on things in life, I would say that
I don't.
Maybe being scared. Maybe I was scared.
Yeah.
Maybe I would have been lonely. My friends were here. I had a big group of friends, which as you get older, that kind of dwindles down, and you're still kind of acquaintances with those people.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, man. I think just being lonely would have probably kept me close to Pittsburgh. And like I said, I like traveling now, but that would be my answer, because I don't really have a reason. I didn't know anyone from anywhere else, so it would have been a real kind of leap of faith if you were to just pick up and move. I almost moved to Florida once. I had considered it. Because
that would have been a big move.
Yeah, some friends went down and they were like, oh man, we work for this company. You got to come do this. Like they train you to be a stockbroker. You do all this stuff. Looking back on it, glad I didn't go, because I'm pretty sure it was like the movie Boiler Room. And that place is probably not on the up and up. So my better judgment kicked in and I stayed in Pittsburgh and dealt with the lung issues.
Yeah.
It sounds like you also had it sounds like Pittsburgh has opportunity to stay, like their jobs. Like, is there quite a bit of jobs to be able to find there?
Yeah. So everybody left, right? So the steel mills died off, and a lot of those towns in Ohio, West Virginia, and places like that, like they didn't recover. Like, they're fucking desolate ghost towns. Crime's high. It's poverty. It's bad. But Pittsburgh recovered a lot, and nobody really says it, but they will refer to Pittsburgh as the new Hollywood. But we filmed a lot of movies here.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty big technology hub, some big healthcare firms and things like that. Carnegie Mellon University is in Pittsburgh, which is, probably a top 5 in the country for a lot of different disciplines, but mainly like robotics. So as we start to move towards AI and a lot of these high-end things as it relates to technology, Pittsburgh's kind of the place to be. So you got people from all over the world coming here. Again, still a smaller city. You're never going to have the amount of tech jobs you would have in a Silicon Valley, but the ones that do, don't have to live in their car and be homeless making $300,000 a year either. So you can afford to live here, which is probably one of the nicer things about Pittsburgh as well.
Yeah, because Pittsburgh, in my mind, is a big city. Like, if in my Midwest brain of it's like, oh, you have almost all the sports teams of major sport.
We have everything but basketball.
That's a pretty big city to me. You don't just have one sports team,
right?
One,
especially compared to Nebraska, where we're from. We have zero. I mean,
what do you have? You got the minor league teams. You got the
we
Hunters.
have what isn't? Don't we have one professional hockey team?
Maybe
or semi-professional.
Semi-pro, you probably have.
Yeah, that's
I
it
don't
though.
even know if we do.
Yeah, it's the
anymore.
Mavericks.
That's college. So like college sports are huge here because that's all we have.
Well, that goes to show, as a Nebraskan native, I'm not even sure what a professional sport
Do
even
we
is
like
anymore.
our new coach there?
Come
on, Huskers. I have to say.
Yeah.
I didn't have to say Huskers, did I?
Yeah.
You like your new football coach?
Well, I'm just deferring to Christian because we actually kind of covered this on an episode before.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. He's not doing too hot right now, but it's only his second year. So
deep down, did you know Scott Frost was the wrong person?
Everyone thought he was the savior.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
The problem though with Scott Frost was he was not the same coach who left UCF to come to Nebraska.
Yeah.
At UCF, he was the coach who was crying because he was leaving. He came so he was, a returner to get back to the theme, but in a bad way. It was good he left Nebraska because when he came back, he got into some bad habits.
Who was the running back that fucked him up back when he played? Phillips.
Yep. Lauren Phillips. Yeah. So Scott Frost. So there's a story that gets passed down, of course. So, Lawrence Phillips' ex-girlfriend was sleeping with Scott Frost, and Lawrence Phillips was I will probably say a mentally ill person who probably has CTE. I think he's in jail for murder right now.
I think he died.
But yeah, I think so too.
Look that up, James.
But look that up. The rumor is, or at least the story goes, was so Scott Frost was sleeping with Lawrence Phillips' ex-girlfriend, and so Lawrence Phillips came and was physically assaulting the woman, and Scott Frost hid in a closet and did nothing.
Wow.
Just
that's
let it happen
than getting your ass beat.
Yep.
In fairness, if you were going to be scared, somebody the size of Phillips, because he was a damn specimen, as well as just if you kind of know, because when you're teammates with people, there's like, this guy might not be stable. It's probably okay to hide in a closet, but that's a rough one when a woman's involved, man. You kind of have to do the right thing.
Yeah. And so that, I think that came, and he was just out and about in Lincoln, Nebraska, and hanging out with some of his old buddies who were not good influences for him. And he definitely let that. The state was willing to give him everything, and he flushed it down the toilet. So
here's a question: did Damian roam, and will he return? Like, is it normal? Just get up and leave in the middle of a fucking podcast? Let's see if he's a returner.
I guess there have been times where it's cut out, and I'm just plowing through like nothing's going on. I don't even think he said he was going.
He didn't. He just got up and walked away. He's like, they're talking about Lawrence Phillips. I'll have none of this.
Yeah. So are you college-wise more of a Penn State or like a Pittsburgh fan, or just
Penn State?
Wild.
Yeah, Penn State. And Notre Dame, you got to like Notre Dame when you kind of look like me. It's just
the Irish.
It goes with the
territory. And you were just giving Damien shit about his Irish comments.
I did. I know. Yeah, it's I'm a Mick.
And the name of your podcast is Patty Wagon, which is a very offensive term for it.
Yeah. When I found the artist, I was like, make me look like extra Irish. Like, if you hated Irish people and like were racist against them, like, give me one of those guys. And like the logo.
You mean the Notre Dame logo?
Might as well. Yeah. Look at me. He had to have that 1930s bad guy voice, right? Yeah. You see? Just looks like it,
but like more Irishy though, like
more Irishy. Yeah, mine's like
in the Gangs of New York.
Oh yeah, I love that movie. Shit, I don't have my hat, but I've got my my little.
Oh, you have
cap. Yeah, I love those hats. But the good ones, I get them from Ireland.
Oh,
they're like $65, $70 a hat, which is a little rich for my blood. But they're wool. They're 100%. Like, they're fantastic.
I recently just bought a sweater from Ireland, and it is it's too warm to wear still. That's deep winter.
Yeah. When you said I got a sweater from Ireland, I'm like, that's one of the nicest sweaters that you can buy.
It's
warm, dude.
It's nice. authentic merino wool, and it's just I'm terrified to wash it.
Don't
Got
I don't
that
know how you do it. I
lanolin.
don't know if you dry clean or what. Hey, welcome back,
Yeah.
Damien. How are you? Welcome to the show.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Triple R.
He's a returner. He came back. What the fuck?
I'm a returner. I did end up coming back. I thought about just walking out on you guys, but
Yeah, just let us finish the podcast.
yeah, you guys got this, right? You don't need me. All right, cool.
Shit.
No,
Pretty much.
I walked away for a little bit because I have a prostate the size of Pittsburgh, and I had to.
Well, depending
Use
on
the
who you
restroom.
talk to, that could be a big
That-
or a small prostate.
It's up to the
Yeah.
listeners to decide. I don't know. I don't know anything. So,
Yeah.
I love your prostate.
thanks, man. It's causing me a lot of problems, but I'm glad somebody can appreciate it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's a solid prostate. You don't want it to be big, right? Big's bad.
Yeah, big
Big's
is
bad. I think that's my problem. Is that I think it's too big for its britches.
Are you going to get checked out, or have you gotten checked out?
Why would I ever do that?
Yeah,
I'm
because
just
you're a man. We don't do that shit.
Yeah.
I'm
Throw
just
out
plowing
hot
through
dogs and be
life.
like,
Do you think that man has health insurance? No.
come on, man. I almost died on the parking lot of a CVS because I didn't have insurance and I was having an asthma attack. And so I just laid out on the concrete and was like, just leave me here. I'll just, at least I'm close to a pharmacy if anybody, wants to go buy me anything to help me out.
this guy's
But-
overdosing of heroin? And he's just like, no, man,
Yeah.
I just can't fucking breathe, dude.
They're just giving him Narcan, and it's like, no, I don't need this.
Because out of anything that I could be bad at in the world, it's breathing. So,
We'll come to
So it sounds
Pittsburgh.
like we shouldn't go to
Yeah,
Pittsburgh.
dude.
yeah, right.
Yeah. No, it's a lot better, but you'll struggle.
I live in LA. I mean,
Oh,
it's
shit,
smog
nowhere-
central.
It's nowhere near LA, dude.
At
Our
least
our
you might
weather
be abo-
report is literally whether or not it's smoggy. That's
I was about to
the
say-
weather report.
That's no
You
joke,
might
that's
live
nuts.
above the smog line though, where you because you're up.
Tell that to my insurance where I'm buying an inhaler every 3 months.
Are you fancy pants? Do you live up in the hills? Is that what they do? Cool
No,
people live
not
up
in
there?
those hills. Not in those hills. I live in different hills.
Okay,
I live out
out in Pan
out in the
Hills.
suburbs. Yeah.
Nice.
If you've ever seen Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure,
It's been a
that
while.
area,
Okay.
Yeah.
he doesn't live that far away from the water park they go to in that film.
Yeah, Raging Waters.
Okay. That's still a thing, huh?
Yeah.
One of
Yeah.
my favorite parks to go to. So there's Raging Waters, and then there's a park/lake called Pudding Stone Lake. That lake is my favorite place to do mushrooms, allegedly, of all time. So
Yeah, it's like where you eat the mushroom pizza. That's your
Yeah.
favorite place to eat
Mushroom
mushroom
pizza.
pizza.
yeah, I'm talking about truffles.
I've never done
Fancy.
mushrooms and found out that McDonald's actually served potato soup while I sat in the parking lot looking at my hands doing this for 45 minutes.
Yeah, me either. Never done that.
Oh shit.
Anyways, so we are getting near the end. So we do usually ask, as one of our last questions, being whether you're a remainer, roamer, or returner, if you could live anywhere else, anywhere at all, like we're not talking about practicality here. If there's one place on Earth that you could live, that you could move to, where do you think that would be?
If kids and nothing else mattered,
Nothing else.
nothing
If you
else mattered.
just you and no like restrictions.
So for somebody who's not a world traveler, like I think you guys said you were in Europe and things like that, which I've heard great things about. Of the places I've been, I would say Sedona. Sedona,
Oh,
Arizona
okay.
was fantastic. Just kind of a nerd in a way. So geology is
Yeah.
something that's very interesting to me. And to see something like that and to hike and to just the air, like there was something about being out there that was really cool. It was also the cleanest place I've ever been. We hiked
Wow.
30 miles over the course of
Mhm.
5 days. I saw, and I'm no exaggeration, with my eyes, I saw one piece of trash. It was one aluminum can on one of my hikes. That was it.
I don't recall being in Sedona at the same time as you.
Nice. 2 pieces of trash, but only one when I was there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I would say
yes.
Sedona would be the place I would go.
Okay.
Nice.
All right.
All
Hey, can I
right.
say
That is-
something before?
No.
Sorry, go ahead. Ask your question.
No, I don't have anything. Go for it.
No, I wanted to be sincere about something. So, Christian, we talked about if you did, I'm sure you searched your name, like you said, right? You did a Control F and looked for Christian. And then on the thing, but you probably saw your name next to dyslexia. Yes. So I was told that you are dyslexic.
I am.
And how long? Like, did you find out when you were younger?
So like early elementary, I like had to be in reading classes. They weren't like, I just couldn't read. Eventually, like, I don't know if I grew it, but I stopped like very early, like by like first grade. Went through fine. Went to college, graduated college, started law school, and then I was like, this is kind of hard. And at first I thought I just had like normal ADHD because someone was like, hey, I have ADHD. You have a lot of the symptoms for this. So I like went to like the like on campus,
which you also have, by the way.
Yes,
right. You do also have ADHD.
I do also have ADHD. And so I got tested. They did like the test, and they're like, "Oh yeah," they're like, "You have ADHD, but also, do you know you're dyslexic?" I was like, "Oh, this makes a lot of sense," because like there'll be times where I would be texting people and I would like just leave out words and not notice it before I sent it. And so
you do that when you're speaking too, by the way.
I do. I don't know if you can develop it. What a crazy time to find out you're dyslexic is in fucking law school. Like, that's a win in life, dude. That's not a bad thing.
No, it was just because cool. Like I guess they were like, yeah, you came up with like coping mechanisms just to get by. and then they were like, yeah, what probably triggered like you actually like more of it was like, because again, law school, as we talked about earlier, like laws you have to read and they're like fucking terrible to read because they're written by people who don't want people to read them. And so they're and so I
that's so fucking funny on so many levels. That statement is
that's
really
great. Yeah.
And so I liked it because it just meant I got more time on my test because I got accommodations because of the ADA laws. And so I don't notice it too much, honestly. It just means like whenever I'm at like work and I'm about to send an email, I have to like triple read it to make sure it makes sense and I didn't leave words out.
AI has got to help with that, dude, too. Like pumping that through a chat GPT or something would be real helpful.
It can be, but there's sometimes
I'm not dyslexic to my knowledge.
Yeah.
Sometimes, well, you know what they say about dyslexia? It's just like being stupid. The person with it doesn't know they have it.
What a dick. Well, the reason I brought it up is so my daughter's she's an angel on earth. She is, and I guess they start to just diagnose this stuff a lot sooner now, which is why I was asking, and so she actually has 2 dyslexic kids in her class, and so she was like, she was telling me about it. I'm like, oh, that's awesome, like that's really cool. And she's like, they're such good girls and they're friends, and I kind of feel like. She's just very sympathetic, empathetic to everything, and she's just a good kid. And she's like, I just wanted to do something nice for them, so she like made them things. And so I was like, oh, and a couple of days ago, I was like, hey, I'm going to be on a podcast with a guy, and he has dyslexia too. She was like, can I make him something? I said, you can absolutely make him something. So she made you something I wanted to show you. Yeah,
no, that's super sweet.
Yes. She said you would understand it. Here. It doesn't make any sense to me, but she said you would get it.
I'm more mad I fell for it. Like, for our listeners, if they sign that, I'll let Damien read what the letters say because I'm dyslexic and can't read it.
Christian, thank you so much for that. I had to do it. Sorry.
I walked right into it. Like that's.
First off, I do have a daughter.
I've never done a spit take on this fucking I am covered in White Claw. I mean, don't put White Claw in there. They're not sponsoring us.
I have a daughter who's a sweetheart. She's an angel. And if that was a true story, she would absolutely do those things. She's a 9-year-old little princess. But I walked right into that.
In my mind, I was so good. Like me and Damien just got a P.O. box. I was like, you can mail it to us. Like we're ready to go. It's so great. And then
Damien, do you want to tell the listeners what this is?
Wow.
Fucking sad trombone music right now. I don't know if I got that on here.
Yeah, put the soundboard on for that one. Wah, wah.
Oh my god!
I don't think we have
Wow,
that.
that was fucking good. He held out to the very end on that one. That was impressive.
I'm more.
Damn.
Our listeners
Well,
have no idea what we're talking about right now, by the way.
oh, it'll be on a clip. Don't you worry.
Oh shit!
Tune into the socials for that one.
I actually asked David. I said, "Hey man, he's cool. Like, it was weird because I knew I was going to come on, and I'm like that dyslexic stuff. I don't want to on my show make it seem like I was making fun." And he goes, "No, man, he's cool with it. Like he's had it for a while, and all that stuff." So,
hey, trust me. Let me speak on his behalf. Okay.
yeah, please do. But I was like, oh,
yeah.
Fuck, if he
I
has a good sense of humor, he'll fucking love
I just let my doctorate do the talking for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he is a lawyer.
Not a lawyer, but I do have a doctorate.
I did stay at a Holiday Inn. Ooh, Dr. Christian. Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Thank you for being the butt of that joke. I hope that the people that view that
will like it. I'm super proud of it. You nailed that perfectly. That was
perfect.
To be honest with you, I'm probably going to... To be honest, I'm probably going to fucking rake. It hit me in my schnoz.
And it's a big target to hit you in the schnoz.
Oh, shit. It's cold-blooded.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Hey, Mike, go ahead and tell the people where they can find you. And thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, no, thank you guys very much. Honestly, it was so much fun. And Christian, great meeting you, man. You guys are
maybe not actually.
Yeah, I know.
Philly over Pittsburgh.
It was really fun being on. You guys had a great show. I love your show. I currently host I was going to say the Potty Wagon. I really almost just said the Potty Wagon. PattyWagonPodcast.com.
Who's dyslexic now, bitch?
Yeah, who's dyslexic now, bitch?
I said that.
FKUCU.
We have interesting guests on. Have a drink, have a beverage, don't have a beverage, do whatever. Come on and talk. I like to talk with people, which is why I obviously had no problem coming on here and meeting you fine gentlemen. But, I think one of the best things we can do in life is have conversations with people, get to know different people, because I don't think you get to judge people until you talk to different people. And hopefully when you meet more people, you stop judging people. But yeah, love having the show. It's a lot of fun. Like I said, PattyWagonPodcast.com. We're on all the major platforms, hoping to get out on a few more. And check us out, man.
Yeah, check him out. Honestly, one of my new favorite listens. I listen to it regularly. That's what drew me to come onto your show. So if you like us, tune into the Patty Wagon. It's really good, especially if you're a fan of Irish people, drinking, general debauchery. It's all encompassing in pretty much just, anything that will get you in trouble.
Yeah.
He also has a lot of really, really interesting and smarter people than us on.
Oh yeah.
So
maybe not Christian. Yeah. Christian would be the smartest person I've ever had on the show, and that is
which is why
we have great people on. And like I said, if you can learn, like this episode's like I'm going to learn something. This episode I'm going to laugh at something, and just a lot of cool people coming on like you guys have, and it's a lot of fun, man. So it'd be more than happy if anyone gave it a listen and told me it was shitty.
Yeah, we will make sure to put your social links in there so everybody can negatively comment on your stuff. So,
hey, negative comments are still comments. That's not a problem.
That's right.
That's true.
Goddamn right.
An angry view, still a view, baby.
Yeah, buddy.
Yep. We count it.
Yes,
all right. Well, thanks, Mike. Thanks for everybody for listening. And as always, bye.
Later.